Northampton Sixfield Leisure Complex. Just outside Northampton, second in the on-the-road Super League series. And I think there'll be people hoping it's not as disappointing as the first one last week at Gateshead. In pouring rain, and there weren't many turned out for that one. There's a few more here, and I understand at the moment that there's probably as many outside the ground as there are in. So the officials obviously not expecting the flood of support that's turned up. And as well as Halifax and Sheffield supporters, there are also Northampton Rugby Union shirts, Leicester Rugby Union shirts. So some locals have turned out to see what rugby league's all about. And Sheffield, I think, are going to kick off when they finally clear the field. On a bit of a roll, 4 wins and a draw from the last 5 games. And they pushed Halifax all the way at the Don Valley Stadium early in the season. Almost at full strength is John Lawless and Marcus Vasilakopoulos missing for the Eagles. Dave Watson's at full-back, Linton Stock on the wing, Willie Morganson, Keith Senior the centres. Right Sodje is the other winger. Martin Wood has moved back to a position he played in with had some great games at Tremor at standoff. He's playing there again this evening, partnered with Gareth Stevens, who's at scrum half, Paul Broadbent, Darren Turner, Steve Malloy in the front row, Paul Carr, Darren Shaw, Rod Doyle the back three, and a very powerful interchange bench with Fetu Taiwa, Waisela Sovatabua, Mark Aston making his first appearance for the Eagles in 8 weeks if he gets on, and Dale Lawton. John Pendlebury has a full strength side to pick from, and has left out Martin Pearson and Simon Baldwin. There's Damien Gibson at full-back, John Bentley, Dave Booth, Endio Powell, Ferretti Tuilagi in the 3/4, Chris Chester, Gavin Clint the half-back, Carl Harrison and Richard Marshall are in the front row, and Martin Hall makes his first start for the Blue Sox. Paul Rowley up to the bench, Gary Mercer, Carl Gillespie, Martin Moana the back three, Jamie Bloom, Des Clark, Kelvin Skerritt and the aforementioned Rowley on the interchange bench. Halifax have ended the first set of 6 with a kick downfield and a great chase from Tuilagi, hammering Watson on the Eagles' 10-metre line. Linton Stock driven back by Hall and Marshall, losing his shirt in the process. Watson in at acting half, out to Broadbent, and Halifax moving in very quickly, snuffing out any chances that Sheffield might think they have a moving upfield. Sheffield's motivation tonight is 2 points for the win that will take them up towards the playoff spot, and I think into 5th place. And Blue Sox looking to consolidate on that 3rd place, pick up another 2 points and move a bit nearer to Leeds. And the Eagles' first set of 6, the same as Halifax, kick downfield, but the ball bouncing away from Gibson and into touch 12 metres out from the Halifax line. Referee this evening, Russell Smith from Castleford. And there's probably 10-11 of these players will be taking part in the England-Wales game on Sunday at Widnes. Kelvin Skerritt, who's on the bench at the moment, will be one, coming back after a 2-match suspension, captaining his adopted country against that English side. Martin Hall will no doubt be playing. Moana is tackled by Malloy. Gillespie showing it, and then up to the 20. Turner and Shaw waiting. Tuilagi up from acting half. Paul Carr closes him down, but Tuilagi gets a good pass away to Chester. Chester's found the gap and slipped through one ankle tap. Turn it back inside. Dio Powell in support. Got 2 against Huddersfield last week. Still going out to Bentley. Bentley with 3 moving across, and Sodje hammers Bentley. And Bentley tried to keep the ball in play despite their going out over the whitewash. Halifax will get the penalty. Bentley goes for the quick play, looking for the try. Almost caught Sheffield off guard. So Halifax with a chance to put the first points on the board. Gillespie turns around and releases to clinch. Looks for support. Mercer there behind him, brushes away one. Sets off towards the post. Wrapped up by Paul Broadbent. Halifax going left again. Clint's turning it back inside to Harrison. Blue Sox still 5 metres away. Asking questions of the Sheffield defence. Well, they had no answer to the power of Martin Moana. There were 3 Eagles defenders round him, perhaps expecting the pass because Halifax had been quick to release when they wrapped up, but Moana keeping hold of the ball, planting it down to the left-hand side of the post. And only 4 minutes gone, Halifax Blue Sox with the start they wanted, leading the Sheffield Eagles 4 points to 0. In the absence of Martin Pearson, Clinch continues with the kicking duties, 10 so far this season. 11 now with that one, which was a simple kick in front of the post to add on 2 to Moana's 4. And Halifax leading early here at Northampton, 6 points to 0. Sheffield defence being tested by Moana. He had 3 men around him, neither failing to hold man or ball, and Moana powering his way over for the first try of this game. Feels for a knock on there against Wood. Bad mistake from Martin Wood. Very, very close to his own line. Big error, but it will give Halifax another 6 tackles from the scrum. It's on the Eagles' 10-metre line, so they'll be looking to add to that early 6 points. Clinch to Tuilange. Defence moving across quickly. Back inside to Gillespie. Halifax still on the 10. Sheffield kept them at bay. On the last set of 6, Harrison making inroads back to within 5 metres. Clinch to Chester, run round. Chester sets off on his own, then loses possession. Watson will be grateful of it, but not the reception committee that's waiting to tackle him under the Eagles' post. Malloy, roll wrapped up by Mercer and Marshall. Halifax trying to contain the Eagles again, but a good run by Broadbent takes the Eagles over the 20-metre line. Darren Shaw, Mercer in, one big hit by Mercer. Shaw goes down. Now back to Turner, who looked to a brusque Clinch aside. Clinch managed to get hold of the headgear to drag him down. Going to give him a penalty away for that, I suppose. Eagles again resorting to the kick deep downfield. Gibson picks it up, but a great chase by Sodje on Gibson, taking him back behind his own line. Senior was there just seconds after. So quite from Sheffield perhaps, but that was a perfect kick. Deep into Blue Sox territory. Gibson had his back turned, and perhaps didn't hear Sodje tearing up behind him. Put down behind his own line. Blue Sox forced to kick out from under their own post. The Clinch will try to make the distance, which he does over halfway. I think it was Martin Wood that missed it with a boot this time. Well, he missed it with the hands from the kick-off. And Linton stopped. Dumped to the ground by Mercer on halfway. Halifax caught offside. They're moving up too quickly for Russell Smith's liking, conceding the penalty. And Martin Wood will set the Eagles up 22 metres out from the Blue Sox line. Darren Turner gets it back into play to Malloy. Malloy wrapped up, just making it over the 20. Broadbent held by Harrison. Martin all there as well, but Harrison didn't need his help. Turner for the line. Can he get the ball down? Scramble underneath, not so, says Russell Smith. Good play from Turner though. Lightning pace to a little bit of a gap. Halifax players managing to hold him up over the line. No try, but the pressure not off for the Blue Sox, with the Eagles getting possession at the scrum. Fed by Stevens, bit of a mix-up at the back. Senior running onto it almost through. Chester sliding down the body to bring him down. Eagles back within 5 metres. And Halifax will be open. They can hold the Eagles out here because even though they beat them at the Don Valley, Halifax never quite looked comfortable. And the Eagles have really picked it up of late, enabling the early season to turn the Challenge Cup winning form into league form. Took them a long time to get going, but now they've had 1 or 2 wins under their belt. They want to keep the roll moving. Both teams focused on this game. Malloy brought down 2 metres from the Halifax line. Last tackle. Turner going for the power play again. Halifax defenders throwing themselves in front of Turner. It took 3 to knock him down. Mercer up quickly from acting half, trying to make yards for Halifax. Gets to the 10. Tackled by Paul Carr. Damien Gibson up to the 20. Halifax getting over the advantage line. Bulveng put down by Senior. Now Harrison. Into Turner. Martin Hall. Acting half position to Gillespie. Gillespie almost up to halfway. Last tackle. So go back to Clint for the kick. Puts one over the top. Finds a little bit of space. And that one just a little bit too much. The ball runs dead. Just a little sign of a shower before this game, and perhaps Clint, hoping a slippery surface, might have just made the ball go one way or the other, but on that occasion just kept on rolling and rolling just over the dead ball line. Malloy brought down by Mercer, making 8 to 9 metres. Rob Doyle, one of the injured players just coming back for the Eagles. John Key has had problems with injuries this season. Although he's got Lawless and Vasil Coppola's missing, he's still got a very strong squad to pick from, as has John Pendlebury. Sodje hammered by Powell. Stevens quickly in at the acting half to Willie Morganson. 5th tackle, setting the play up. Martin Wood goes for the kick to Ilangi underneath it. Well, men there for Sheffield, men there for Halifax. Morganson is there, but adjudged to a knocked on by an Eagles player. And Tuilangi tries to bring it away. 3 men around him on the Halifax 10-metre line. Appealing for the penalty. Bulveng trying to do some work for the forwards. Now Martin Hall looking for a little bit of a gap. Going on the short side. Tried to continue. Turner and Shaw put him down. Moana through the middle. Clamping Moana this time, so he can't make the break. Hall to Chester. Chester over the top. Bentley and Sodje in the race. And Sodje very close to that took whitewash. Bentley says get up and play it quickly. And he has done. It's gone inside to Senior, who's not short of pace. He beat one. And almost away from Moana. Moana was showing the determination to bring Senior down. Martin Wood showing the ball, looking for the gap. What's left of the sun shining on that far side. Broadbent going the step, looking like half-back there as he went through. No support though. John Keir will probably be a bit upset that there was nobody behind Broadbent there as he broke through. There should have been. Lynch inside to Bentley. Bentley with space to run in. Straightens up down the middle. Turner hammers him on the 20. Martin Hall there at the acting half. Gibson tries to go through. Martin Wood sticking to him. Broadbent there as well. Tuilangi having to come back inside. Taken by Shaw. And Broadbent 8 metres from halfway. Halifax still lead 6 points to 0. Harrison is looking round to release the ball. Shaw with the arm over the top. No wasted play there from Halifax. Marshall running straight back into trouble. Back to Clinch, chip over the top for Clinch, race on here, well picked up by Watson, and Watson is racing his way back up to the halfway line and trying to stand so he can release, but again there was no support there for Watson, just as there was none for Broadbent a couple of minutes ago. Malloy back in the Blue Sox half. High tackle there on Linton Stock. Either Carl Harrison or Gary Mercer, but somebody upstairs. Martin Wood quickly looking for his point at which to put the ball into touch. The Eagles on the attack again, still looking for the first point. Paul Carr, first drive up for the Eagles. Back in the Blue Sox red zone. Broadbent tackled by Marshall. The Eagles pushing towards that line with Malloy. Malloy brought down 3 metres away. Pressure on here for the Blue Sox as the Eagles come to the left, bringing Carr back on the inside. Paul Carr is clamped top and bottom by Mercer and Gibson. Now they look to move it out wide. Wood, little chip through. No fullback there for Halifax. Tuolangi clears them. Dex with a kick behind the dead ball line. Morganson chasing, but a good kick from Martin Wood. Forces Halifax to drop out from under the posts again. And Sheffield proving, as they have done in the past, that 6 points is not enough, because they'll not give up the challenge while they're still within sight. And 4 out of the last 5 games between these clubs have yielded more than 50 points, and 3 of those 4 have yielded more than 60. But so far this evening, only 6 points. About 20 minutes, and they've gone in the favour of the Halifax Blue Sox with a try from Moana and a goal from Clinch. But the reaction there to go down on the ball, I think, from Gillespie in an offside position. And Martin Wood puts it in 15 metres away, so the Blue Sox will be on defensive duties again for the next 6, providing the Eagles keep hold of the ball that long, of course. Moving out wide, relying on Malloy to charge up. And all Halifax front row stand and wait for the tackle. Here goes Turner again. Very similar style to John Lawless as Darren Turner. Willing to drive the ball up into the defence. Well, an obstruction there, Morganson running the angles. The smile on Moana's face said it all, with a decision from referee Russell Smith. And a chance to for Halifax to get away from their own line a little bit with a kick from Clinch. They've made 20 metres for Halifax. They've spent a lot of time in their own half since they took the 6-0 lead. And the Eagles looking as though they're up for the 2 points, as long as they're still within sight. Halifax going back up towards halfway, marching all to Moana. Tackled by Stevens. Marshall, met by Malloy. Turnover, up to ground just inside the Eagles half. Chester again having problem with the fingers. Another mistake from Chris Chester. No, obviously not got Whatever it is they put on the hands to let the ball stick. The Eagles come up with the possession from the scrum again, and Watson has 3 waiting for him as he moves into the standoff position. No yards gain from there. Quick to move it out wide, Morganson taking the short pass into the tackle. Bulving and Gibson on halfway. Stevens inside to Malloy. Gillespie all over Malloy, bringing him down. Eagles charging forward again with Broadbent. And Mercer brings him down 30 metres out. Switch of play from Stevens out to Wood. Kick over the top again. Well, Tuilanga expected that one to bounce out, but it held up. And he had to make a last-ditch effort to pick it up. And Gibson had no option to go on his own from there because Halifax were close to their own try line. Moving into Broadbent and Carr. Martin Hall, good run from acting half from Martin Hall, making 12-13 metres. Carl Harrison looking to turn round and release again. The second Eagles defender moving in, lamping the ball. Marshall, all wrapped up by Senior, good tackle by the Eagles centre. Bentley opts for the kick. Straight into Keith Senior, who knocked it backwards as he knocked it down, and Paul Carr drives the ball back into Dio Powell. Senior from acting half. Eagles looking for the overlap on the far side. Turner taking it forward again. Ball comes loose. Well, the Eagles, I think, claiming there were 2 men in the tackle. Referee Russell Smith saw nothing wrong. Halifax allowed to continue. Mercer off the short ball. Good tackling from Paul Broadbent, just short of halfway. Harrison brushes away Darren Short. Martin Hall over the top. Moana stepping inside. Looking for the gap. Wood sticking to him though. And Gibson, falling over him. Looked as though he was helping Wood in the tackle. Powell, 2 men in front of him, turns it back inside. Support there from Chester. Halifax may have options. He's drawn 2 or 3 defenders across there to Mike Powell. Moana again, looking for an opening. 5th tackle, back to Clins. Out to Powell, but Powell, never the best pass down towards the ankles of Dio Powell. 2 mistakes for Halifax within that 10-metre area. It could be costly at the end of this game. Right, Sodjet being given an invitation to run, but he doesn't get so far as Gillespie comes in and clatters him. Now Morganson, who spent some time in the Eagles Alliance side. Linton stopped by Moana. Malloy just making the hard yards up the middle for the Eagles. Back towards halfway. Back for the kick again. Gibson gets his foot to it, so that put Eagles onside. Gibson has a bit of space to work in, and he's making the most of it, and eventually just ran out of space going forwards. The Eagles defence forming a little bit of an umbrella around Gibson eventually. They allowed a lot of space. They went through the first 2 tacklers. Now Harrison up over halfway. Big class with Malloy there in the tackle, and Martin Wood. Mercer. There's Clark who's just come on. Ball away to Powell. Powell turns it back inside to Mercer. Good play there from Halifax, keeping it moving. Bentley looking for a gap. Bounces off one. Bounces off another. And the third. Well, Dyer hanging on. Turner came in to help with the tackle. But Halifax looking dangerous when they keep the ball moving and joining the defence. But again, the error, I think it's Captain Carl Harrison this time, who's spilt up possession. Looking confident when they throw the ball about. Carl Harrison's coming off for a rest, and on comes Wales captain Kelvin Skerritt, back from 2-match ban. handed out after he was sent off for punching at Headingley in the defeat against the Leeds Rhinos. The Eagles, not surprisingly, win possession from the scrum. And Fetu Taiwa has come on for the Eagles. Right, Subject chased by Bentley. Rowley on as well. But the Blue Sox has probably a change for Martin Hall. Malloy knocked out of his stride. Plays it quickly. Stevens there quickly to scoop it up for the Eagles. And Broadbent down the middle. Good tackling from Rowley. Rowley and Martin Hall, of course, likely to go head-to-head in that match of Widnes on Sunday. Rowley, the England representative, Hall, the Welsh representative, and Doyle trying to go through, trying to get the hands free to release the pass on the last tackle. Halifax clamp man and ball on the 10-metre line. They come up with a turnover. Gibson away from the acting half. Good yards made by the Halifax fullback. Runners here. But Rowley wants to go to the short side. Powell into Turner. Turner having to have 2 goes at Dio Powell. But more important yards back towards halfway for the Blue Sox. Skerry into Senior and Broadbent. Halifax over halfway with Gillespie. 3 men waiting to make the tackle. Halifax 6 points in the lead at Northampton. Clark again releases it to Tuilangi, who knocks it but knocks it backwards. Tuilangi with a kick over the top. Watson there to clean up at the back for the Eagles. Almost away from Bouveng. Ball comes loose. Tuilangi knocked it out in the grass. Gavin Clean said it was a one-on-one. And then conceded another 10 metres. But answering back to Russell Smith. Martin Wood launches it into again for the Eagles, just short of halfway, still looking for the first score. Halifax have been close on a couple of occasions. Turner been over the line once for the Eagles, but turned over by the Halifax defence. Lead stays at 6-0. Around 15 minutes to go in this first half. And Paul Carr wrapped up just inside the Blue Sox half. Dale Lawton on now for the Eagles. So making many a change, both coaches. Will it make a difference to the score, the pattern of play, as Stevens is all wrapped up and then put to ground? Let's get it down on top of him. Eagles within 10 metres of the Halifax line. Great ball back inside to Senior, who's grounded only inches away from the Halifax line. All defences on top so far. Gibson needed again to bring it away 10 metres from the Halifax line, which he's done so effectively. Again, now Bentley, wrapped up by Taiwa, running straight into the tackle. Mercer against Turner. Turner hanging on. I think Mercer was waiting for the support to come and take a pass then. But nobody running onto it. Get it shouldered out. Well, Russell Smith has seen something. Well, he signalled the use of the elbow, then he signalled the high tackle. But whichever it was, Halifax got the penalty. And the Blue Sox with a kick back in the Eagles half on the 30-metre line, looking to build on that 6 points to the lead. Bentley the first man in. Rowley out to Skerry, put down by Broadbent and Senior. Eagles defence working well in their own half. Halifax haven't been there much with the ball. Clark releases again the one-handed pass out the back door. Gibson looking for a little bit of an opening in that Eagles defence, not finding one. Powell off to Clinch, turns it back inside to Powell. Powell with a step off to Gibson. Gibson gets it away. Moana, centre field, and going back outside, looking for support. Nobody running there for the pass quick enough. Rowlett almost getting it away. Hammered to the ground by Dale Lawton. Mercer out to Clinch. Clinch, the little chip through. Picked up by Des Clark. I think he's got the forward pass on the last tackle there, Russell Smith. So the Eagles breathe again. It's been a story of chances. Also a story in the first half of big defensive efforts from both sides. Very few running chances, although Halifax have perhaps been the more willing to run the ball about a bit and put the passes in. And they've been close on a number of occasions. The Eagles went close only a couple of minutes ago with Senior. But still, there's only 6 points there to Halifax's credit. Eagles still looking for the first points. John Pendlebury seeing this as a tough battle. Tough side to beat, Eagles, especially with that 4 wins and a draw in the last 5 games. Halifax coach, of course, signed a new 2-year deal. Sees it this week. Not a bad season for John Pendlebury, guiding Halifax Blue Sox to 3rd in the league. Offering the reward for that a new 2-year contract. In between that, he handed his notice in and was talked out of that within 24 hours. I think with the position Halifax are in at the moment, the loss of John Pendlebury from the Blue Sox cause wouldn't have benefited anybody, as Tuilangi goes off on a run which ends on the 40-metre line. So good yards again made. Bentley will have to go it alone because there's nobody there in support for him. Rowlett out to Mercer. Bounces Lawton away, does Mercer. Then has a go again, but there's 3 men this time. And one of them's Lawton at the second attempt. I think Mercer swung the elbow getting up there and Lawton complained. Powell pushes Sodgy away. Sodgy gets Powell at the second attempt on the Eagles' 30-metre line. Clinch to Clark. And Clark showing good skills, getting the pass away to Moana. Moana away to Rowlett. Foot race now towards the line. Rowlett gets it away. Chester in support. Safe hands this time from Chester. Halifax with the second try. No complaints from Russell Smith. But good passage of play. Clark stepping 2 Eagles players, then releasing Rowlett. Chester on the shoulder to go over the line. Halifax moving into double figures, leading at the Sixfields Leisure Complex by 10 points to 0. Fortunately, with an assistant cameraman who's got to turn a boiling kettle off and turn all the electrics on. So all televisions have gone blank, but we assume that Clinch kicked that one from that range. And Halifax lead with the try, which has come at an important time for them, with less than 5 minutes to go to half time. And Clinch restarts for the Blue Sox. We're looking for another 2 league points. They all count, of course, in this mid-season break. On the road, Bradford Bulls play the London Broncos in Edinburgh tomorrow night. And Dale Lawton is wrapped up by Mercer and Chester on the 30. As Keith Senior makes a bit of a break. Good tackling from Rowley though. Clamping himself around Senior to bring him down. Rowley's there again. And the introduction of Martin Hall has given Halifax a few extra options, and it's given some stiff competition in the hooking position. And the kick to touch will be taken by Mark Aston, who injured himself in a freak DIY accident some weeks ago. Hasn't played for 2 months. But he's such an inspiration to this Eagles side is Mark Aston. He's been the top goal kicker for the last 10 or 11 years. He spent a season, of course, at Featherstone. But he's up there with the all-time Sheffield greats, if you can say that, of a club that's only been going for 14 years. Turner's going again, and he's put down 2 metres away. Last tackle, power play. Well, too many defenders there. And Mercer brings it away for the Blue Sox. I'm not sure whether it was Aston who went for the power play there or not. He's been involved in the first 2 tackles as they've come away from the Blue Sox line. Des Clark. Aston there again, throwing himself into the tackle. Well, he's certainly up for the challenge, but is he up for the rest of this game after spending 2 months on the sideline? Wrist injury, of course, not affecting his training so much. Ball handling maybe, but once you've got the skills as a ball handler, you never lose them anyway. Last tackle, chip through on the floor. Watson going back to collect for the Eagles, bringing it forward. Already made 1 telling break, but not this time, as he's closed down by Moana and Chester. Almost at the end of the first half, 4.5 minutes to go. Tie wrapped up by Rowlett. And John Pendlebury, I think, will be a happy man if the score stay at 12 points to 0 at the half-time break. John Keir will be disappointed, of course. Turner and Senior didn't do better with their chances. But it's worth remembering, the Eagles, still, you never actually clear of the Eagles, they'll always fight back. They've done it on a few occasions against the Blue Sox. None more so than last season when they were winning 30 points to 0 at Halifax with the Don Valley. And 25 minutes into the second half, they were winning 30-26. Well, they went on to win that one quite easily in the end by 49-26. Gibson took a high shot, so the penalty will go the Blue Sox way. Well, certainly not anything like the conditions that prevailed at Gateshead last week, when Leeds and Salford played out a drab affair in drizzling rain. Although for anybody new to the game expecting to see super fast flowing Super League this evening, we've been a little bit disappointed unless they know something about the defensive qualities of rugby league, because both defences have played well. Both sides created chances. Gillespie stepping, gets it away to Rowlett. Chances here for Halifax. Tuilangi coming back on the inside, trying to step out of the tackle. Well, both teams have created chances. Halifax have made the most of theirs with 2 tries. And they're looking perhaps to get another one in the remaining seconds up to the half-time break. Clinch, well, was that a drop goal or just a chip? Sodji had to come forward for it. I think it was an attempt at a drop goal, because it had given Halifax a 13-point lead. And Halifax come up with it because the ball was stolen. There's a try on here for Dio Powell. And I think it's Turner who's not too happy about that decision. I'm not sure who lost the ball for the Eagles. Perhaps it was Darren Turner, and I think it was Clinch that took it. But it was a one-on-one tackle. Russell Smith looks to the big screen to justify its presence here this evening. But I think the big screen replay, which we cannot see, will show, and it has, that Dio Powell has got the ball down for Halifax's 3rd try. Well, Clinch went for the drop goal and drifted it wide, but it worked in Halifax's favour. because Dio Powell got his 7th try of the season, and that one might just knock a bit of the stuffing out of the Sheffield Eagles, because it means they now need quite a bit of an effort in the second half. Halifax never looked comfortable against the Eagles, 12 points in front in previous matches. It'll give them a little bit of breathing space. Clint pulls that one wide, but I think if you asked him now whether he'd prefer the drop goal earlier or the 4 points, he's sure to pick the 4 points. Healthy lead for Halifax going into the half-time break. Both defences working hard, but that one just a bit cheeky. I'm not sure whether it was Gibson or Cleese that took the ball in a one-on-one situation. I think from Turner's remonstrations with Dio Powell firstly and then Russell Smith, it may have been he that had the ball pinched from his grasp. But the try stands, and Halifax lead 16 points to 0 as Tuilagi brings down Darren Shaw. Broadbent steps through the first tackle, then tries to get the pass away. Wrong way altogether. Gillespie picks it up for Halifax, turns it inside. Clinch thought Clinch had actually got it then. Clock counting down. Tuilagi going inside and then straightening up, loses possession. But the ultrasounds for the end of the first half. Nothing to choose defensively between these sides, because they both put their efforts in defence. But Halifax making the most of the chances they've made. Probably could have had 5 or 6 tries. In the end, they got 3. Moana with the first, which Clint's converted. Chester with the second. Dio Powell after the ball being pinched from an Eagles player. And the Eagles, well, they've gone close. Darren Turner turned over on his back over the line. Keith Senior stopped on a power play just inches from the Halifax whitewash. John Pendlebury will be probably a lot more happier that John Keir will in the half-time break. Halifax Blue Sox leading the Sheffield Eagles at the Northampton Town Football Club, which is situated at the Six Fields Leisure Complex just outside Northampton. But Halifax leading at the break by 16 points to 0. We're off to hang the assistant cameraman for turning all the tellies off. We'll be back for the second half. Kevin Clinch prepares to get the second half underway. Halifax 16 points to the good. Sheffield Eagles yet to score in this clash in Northampton. Super League on the road, and despite the fact that we're expecting a bumper 6,000 attendance, I don't think they'll reach anywhere near that. But there's the crowd that are here are making plenty of noise. Well, Halifax part of the crowd is. There's quite a few made the journey down the M1. Sheffield, of course, it's probably about the same distance from Sheffield to Northampton as it is from Sheffield to Halifax. And Bentley has to clear up at the back for the Blue Sox. Went down in pain after Sodji got hold of him. John Bentley had already had a spell out with injuries earlier this season after being taken off at Warrington. And whether it was the way he turned or the way Sodji tackled him, I'm not sure. He grimaced as soon as his face was in shot of the camera. No grimace from Skerritt though. He'll run it up the middle all day. And so will Harrison, who's back on. Swap for Richard Marshall, perhaps. Carl Harrison has something to say to Russell Smith about an incident there. Russell Smith not listening as the Blue Sox come forward with Gillespie into Turner and Morganson. And Rowley quickly parts with it from acting half out to Clark, who helps it along the line. Skerritt linking up at centre. And Dio Powell all wrapped up by Senior. 12 metres from halfway. Kick over the top, that one disappears into the stand at the far side. So a waste of possession from the Blue Sox. More importantly for the Eagles, it means that they'll start their 6 from well inside the Halifax half of the field. Broadbent into Mercer, Clark and Harrison. Still looking for the first points. 5 to go on the 20. Dale Lawton wrapped up 3 again in defence. Halifax front row, Harrison, Rowley and Skerritt with the tackle. Now moving it out wide. Doyle. Paul Carr up from acting half. Quickly wrapped up. Halifax not standing square at the play of the ball. Sheffield will have 6 more tackles. Turner plays it. Watson joins up from full-back. Elusive runner if he gets a chance. Mistake there forced by Bouveng. And Milana comes up. Counter-attacks for Halifax. Takes it back up towards halfway. And they're going to be helped along here. Dale Lawton. Pulled up by referee Russell Smith for a flop. Gavin Clinch shouting the instructions before he makes just over 20 metres with the penalty kick. Halifax will be keen to put first points on the board in the second half. Sheffield more than capable of coming back from a 16-point deficit as Clark is put down by 3. Eventually first man there to do the damage was Paul Carr. Kelvin Skerritt shows it, shoulder down up the middle. Good tackling from Shaw, straight in around the ankles of Skerritt. Clinch, long ball out wide to Clark. Clark's found the gap, managed to keep his feet. Great run from Des Clark. Well, Russell Smith going to take a look at the video replay. Clark, for man, looked as though he'd gone over on his back, and a great burst through the defence. 1 or 2 puzzled faces. There's some congratulations for Des Clark. And unfortunately, we can't see the replay. Russell Smith will wait for the decision. Clark went from 15-16 metres out. And he's waiting to see if this is his 5th try of the season. Well, nobody cheered. Eagles defence got up looking a bit puzzled. Halifax players have already gone back into their own half of the field. And it's a long, hard look at the replay. Well, video normal service will be resumed. Well, the try's been given to Des Clark. Well, with no benefit of a replay on the big screen up here, but Des Clark has given Halifax just the start suggested they needed to the second half with a try from 15 metres out, splitting the Eagles' defence. I didn't think he made the try line until it actually got up, but the ball grounded and Halifax lead at the Sheffield Eagles by 20 points to 0. And Gavin Clinch, who's kicked 2 from 3, tries to make it 22 and doesn't succeed on that occasion. But a good start for Halifax, 20 points to 0 in the lead. And Jamie Bloom warming up on the far side of the field, so that'll be a straight swap for John Bentley. Well, Halifax have been quite fortunate with injuries this season, because they haven't got the biggest of squads. Eagles bringing it back again from the kick-off with Broadbent, who's all down by Moana, but not before a bit of a struggle as Broadbent tried to kick out of the tackle. Turner felt the full force of Harrison with that tackle. A huge hit from the Halifax captain on the Eagles hooker. Now they move it out wide. Senior, Bloom all over him, gets it back inside. Good ball back inside. Sovatabua on for the Eagles, and he was all wrapped up by Moana. Well, Sovatabua will give the Eagles extra options in attack. Big, pacey fullback, links up into the line every occasion. And Watson has moved up probably into the standoff position or around that area. Seven minutes gone in the second half. Eagles going for the power play again. Not working, and Gibson will bring it away for the Blue Sox up towards the 20. First touch for Bloom, who's all wrapped up by Paul Carr and Dale Lawton. Carl Harrison, short around the legs again, no fault in his tackling style. Clark, another one out the back door to Rowlett. Rowlett looking to take advantage, but then running into trouble. Darren Shaw down on the top of him, appeals for a penalty. Coming from the Halifax supporters. Moana, if he can go, has beaten two. Now he needs support. He's got there. Ball goes loose. I think it's Mercer who passed it and then tried to clear the situation up for Halifax, so Moana will have another go. Gavin clings. Stands and looks, get the ball away to Harrison, and Harrison drives it back towards that Eagles line. Could Halifax be setting up for a drop goal? Carl Harrison complains. Eagles get the penalty. Well, Russell Smith going to have a word with Carl Harrison. He's already signalled so, but he wants Darren Turner first. Well, he was a bit frustrated in the first half, was Carl Harrison, over one incident. Obviously felt it was the wrong end of the decision that time. But Russell Smith giving the Eagles a penalty. Back into playing the Eagles half, a long way to the other end of the field for Dale Lawton, especially with three waiting. Now Darren Shaw slips it out. Linton Stott running inside, ball comes loose, one-on-one challenge. Tuilagi goes inside. Well, Linton Stott's not short of pace, went without the ball. There was Halifax arm just ripped it from his grasp. Rowlett into Shaw and Aston, just short of halfway. Mercer knocked to the ground by Dale Lawton and Paul Broadbent. Two Sheffield props working overtime in defence. Now Harrison driving forward, three waiting. Kelvin Skerritt running off the short ball, brushes Turner aside, and Turner's first attempt to get off the floor was unsuccessful. It took him two, but there were three men into Skerritt after Turner had been brushed away by the charge from Skerritt. Moana showing it, still going forward. Tuilagi came inside screaming for it, but Moana had just gone one step too many. Clinch gets the ball away. Aston goes into him, and it's come down favourably for the Eagles, although they're still close to their own try line, and the ease with which Halifax have been pulling the ball out one-on-one, they may go for that play again. Sovatabua Trying to go outside. Mercer and Skerritt doing enough to bring him down with 2 half tackle. Darren Short driving up the middle. Des Clark and Harrison waiting for him. Mark Aston turns it back inside. Watson looking for a way through, looking for support. Sova-Tabua there. Could be danger here for Halifax. Good tackle from Clinch now on Sova-Tabua. Broadbent gets it away. Mistake there. Referee Russell Smith had his hand in the air. Eagles went for the power play again from a long way out. Spilled up the possession. And Rowlett clamped by. Linton stopped. Gibson. Closely marked. John Keir obviously watched Gibson because he can punish defences. He spots a little bit of a gap. More than capable of making 60 or 70 metres. Mercer wrestling with Paul Carr and Darren Turner. And down just short of halfway. Back to Clinch, and Clinch was it late then after the ball had gone. Referee Russell Smith perhaps looking for advantage. Sova-Tabua managed to win that little tussle with Sova-Tabua, or with Tuilagi. I think referee Russell Smith was perhaps looking for an advantage, and it's broken out in back play, but there was no doubt Clinch was hit hard after the ball had gone. And perhaps Mike Stevenson would say the man was committed, but he's been picked out, I think, by the Eagles defence as Gavin Clinch, because Mark Aston went in for him when it was the last tackle. He went for the kick earlier on and caused Clinch some discomfort, which he got over. And from what I can see, he's back on his feet now, so he's got over that one. But somebody, I think it might have been Darren Turner, went in late on Clinch, and there were immediate groans from the Halifax supporters to tell Russell Smith so, that both linesmen are on. It looks like a synchronised head nodding competition between the officials. Well, Russell Smith is picking out Eagles captain Paul Broadbent, Halifax captain Carl Harrison. Going to have words with both because it has, or is in danger of getting a little bit out of hand. Carl Harrison showed his frustration a couple of times. Well, Russell Smith taking the easy option. 3 officials, and Russell Smith has decided to give it to somebody at Red Hall next week to have a look at. Well, so the outcome of that won't be known well Thursday. But Halifax get the penalty, and Jamie Bloom drops it over the touch line on the Eagles 20, and Tuilagi goes through the first, goes through the second, and then is knocked to the ground by Watson. But Halifax looking to increase on that 20 points to nil scoreline. Well, Skerritt taking the short ball. Turner's gone down injured, ball come loose. And Senior trying to take advantage for the Eagles and spills it up for Bloom on the 20. No advantage gained by the Eagles. Halifax with 6 more. Mercer, the first man to take the ball up for the Blue Sox. Back towards the 10-metre line. Gavin Clinch out to Moana. Moana steps back inside into trouble. Brushes a man away. Stands up in it long enough to get the pass away. High tackle there, no doubt about it, on Bloom from Aston. And it's spilling over again. Gary Mercer through one. Aston's on the floor with somebody else. Damien Gibson. Well, no excuse for that. Aston's been walking a fine line, and perhaps it was Aston that went for Clinch on that last occasion. But Mark Aston is walking a very fine line. head-high tackle on Jamie Bloom. Obviously lost no enthusiasm over his 2-month rest period. Isn't Mark Aston, in fact, showing just a little bit too much then. Gary Mercer being pulled out. Definitely through one. Being spoken to by Russell Smith, penalty to Halifax. And it looks like an attempt at 2 points for Jamie Bloom. A few groans and boos from the Halifax supporters because the Blue Sox are going for the 2 points. And if Bloom's successful, they'll turn into cheers. So Bloom for a 22-point lead. About halfway through the second half. 20 points to 0 to the Halifax Blue Sox. Eagles no points and getting very frustrated. 2 more for Halifax. Jamie Bloom, the second kicker for the Blue Sox. Halifax leading comfortably up to now in Northampton by 22 points to 0. Well, Halifax fans that have made the journey down here will see it as being all worthwhile if the Blue Sox come up with another 2 crucial Super League points at the end of this game. That's the way it's going at the moment. And I suppose the question of Sheffield is, can they keep the temper, or more specifically, can Mark Aston, looked upon as the leader of this Eagles side for so long, but not setting the best of examples on that last occasion, and it's cost the Eagles 2 points. Savatabua, look of determination etched onto his face. Quickly taken off though with a tackle from Marshall, Skerritt and Rowlett. And Marshall back on. Not sure where he'll be playing, because I think Skerritt's still on, so is Harrison. Des Clark's a prop, so Halifax have at the moment 4 props on out of their pack. Big kick, Bloom underneath it, safe as houses, and then loses it. Well, it could be a golden opportunity for the Eagles, could this, because they're going to get possession from the scrum. And there's just under 24 minutes showing on the Super Mega Giant screen with SkyTech with them to all these televised games. And Doyle is brought down 5 metres away, coming up off the back of the scrum. Could it be comeback time for the Eagles? Watson brings Savatabua on the inside. Savatabua skips 2, and then he's hammered by Gibson and Harrison. Skerritt set off out of the line. Well, it was out of the starting blocks faster than Linford's Christie then was Kelvin Skerritt. And it had the desired effect on Lawton, because Lawton spilled up possession, but Russell Smith has given Sheffield the penalty. Darren Shaw wrapped up man and ball by Paul Rowlett. 8 metres out, Eagles set themselves up again. Savatabua out to Morganson, losing his grip on a slippery surface. Broadbent gets it away to Stevens, who lost it. Well, I didn't think Russell Smith was going to give that one, but he has. Clinch to feed the scrum. Halifax still in the red zone. The Eagles will be looking for an effective 6 to try and keep Halifax there. Boven wrapped up by Senior. And off goes Gibson, trying to find an opening again. Struggled to find one so far this evening. Clark driving it forward. Up towards halfway. Marshall loses it backwards up. Popped up for Rowlett. Rowlett releases to Moana. Moana down the middle of the field, skipped through the first one, through the second. Great run from Moana, needs support. It's come off an Eagles hand. Sovatabua knocks it backwards. And Taiwa clears up over the line. But Halifax will get the possession at the scrum, adjudged to have been knocked on by an Eagles player. And so, pressure not off for the Eagles. Halifax looking to add to the 22 points. And the Eagles have looked far less likely to score so far in the second half than they did in the first. Clinch down to the left. Moana's dropped out of the scrum. Well, almost there. Morganson hanging on to the shirt. Tuilangi up from acting half. I don't think he wanted to be there. He just happened to be there when Moana played the ball. Mercer going for a power play from acting half. Never on too many Eagles defenders there. Clinch shows it, stepping, Clinch through two. Easy try when it came for Gavin Clinch. Moana had made the inroads into the towards the Eagles line and was brought down. Both Tuilangi and Mercer had a go from acting half, couldn't butter the way under, and Clinch, who stood, looked around, wasn't closed down, put the foot down, went over the line, past two Sheffield defenders, nobody touching him. 4 more points to Halifax, leading in Northampton. Halifax Blue Sox 26, Sheffield Eagles 0. So Clinch, who kicked 2 goals in the first half, notches up his 6th try of the season. And Bloom, after kicking the penalty, looks for his 2nd conversion, which shouldn't prove too much of a problem. And Jamie Bloom, another 2 points for Halifax, and surely now on the way to another 2 precious Super League points, leading Sheffield Eagles at the Sixfield Stadium by 28 points to 0. Clinch to kick off, and Broadbent bringing it back for the Eagles again. But Halifax moving up and making sure, or trying to keep the Eagles in their own half of the field. Sovatabua manages to avoid 3 tacklers and then slips his way to the floor just short of halfway. Harrison down on top of him, but there's a knock on. So the Eagles really finding it tough now. Frustration showing earlier on, and now concentration going as well. So an ever-increasing handling problem for the Eagles, and an ever-increasing scrum count for the Blue Sox. Here goes Gibson, he's found the gap this time, he skipped past the first 2 players, taking Halifax back towards that red zone. Powell into Short, managed to hold Short off, but there were 2 defenders behind Darren Short to put Powell down. Marshall back inside, good pass to Clark from Richard Marshall. Clark already scored one try, unloads to Mercer. Mercer back to Clinch, and Clinch looking for support, can't get the pass away. Taiwa just doing enough to stop the ball going. Powell stopped by Senior, tackle completed by Taiwa and Aston. Problems for the Eagles though. Moana turns it back inside. Carl Harrison almost on for his second try of the season. Well, that an indication of the damp on the grass at the stadium here in Northampton. Carl Harrison just losing grasp. It was a try if he could have kept hold of the ball, but it wasn't to be for the Halifax captain. And the Eagles come away again, up towards halfway. Still looking for the first points, but John Pendlebury must be pleased with his side's performance tonight, because they've kept the Eagles out up to now and helped themselves to 28 points, which will up their cause at the end of the season if it comes to the points difference. Another 28 to add to the 346 they already have in Super League this season. And Dale Lawton on a weaving run towards the Halifax line, gets it away to Aston. Well, chances here for the Eagles out wide. Linton Stott has to go back inside because there were 4 men moving across, and Gibson homing in to make the tackle on Stott. But Dale Lawton, the man that did the work for the Eagles, and Jamie Bloom rising above Bright Sodgy to pick that one out of there magnificently. Skerry charging into Broadbent and Taiwa. Mercer all wrapped up by Senior and Dale Lawton on at the Halifax 20. Des Clark out the back again, a loose one this time, picked up by Marshall. Marshall charges in, was looking to release, and he did, but the wrong way. Linton Stott wanted to get up and continue. Referee Russell Smith brings it back for the knock on after Marshall loses possession. About 12 minutes to go, and Sheffield Eagles needing something extremely special to pull back the 28 points that they're losing by. Perhaps they're only looking for a consolation at this stage. Sovatabua joining up into the line, brings in Sodje. Sodje not finding any chink of light or space in that Halifax defence, as Darren Shaw is brought down by Bouveng and Harrison on the Blue Sox 20-metre line. Paul Broadbent, Harrison there waiting again, Marshall around the bottom. Great defending by the Blue Sox. Good ball up there for Senior. Senior tries to release it, ball comes up, Harrison quick to get it away to Gibson. But Gibson not able to get very far. Well, he kicked out with Gibson. Aston copped one. And Gibson concedes the penalty. I'm not sure about that. Gibson said kicking out, but Gibson looked as though he was being turned over. And the Eagles have no option really but to go for the try. With no advantage for going for goal or for touch, either points wise or territorially. Eagles move it out wide. Senior back on the inside into Mercer and Clark. Halifax defence moving across well. Sovatabua slow to pick the ball up, can't make any advantage of that position. Dale Lawton using his power. Well, it was over the line and then dragged back into play. Russell Smith hand in the air for the last tackle. Back to Aston. will go for the power play, drops one on the floor. Senior gets it back desperately. Savatabua throws it out wide. Kick through on the floor. There's a scramble there. Well, the touch judge has said it's been knocked out of play by Halifax player, and it should go under the post for a dropout. But Russell Smith is looking to give the Eagles a try. Well, Russell Smith was blindside of it. No hand on it from Taiwa. So no try there for the Eagles. Russell Smith has time to smile about it. Well, the touch judge was right. Russell Smith overruled him, but that only delayed the inevitable. Never looked like a try, but Halifax will be forced to drop out under the post. So it'll give the Eagles another chance to attack the Halifax line. Plinge finding almost halfway with a kick. Malloy back on for the Eagles. And Rowlett, the only one to hang on, was Martin Hall. Took a knock on the way through. Dale Lawton's brought down by Marshall. Carl Harrison's taking a knock now to the arm, and the chance here for Doyle. Doyle gets the ball down for the Eagles. Well, a disappointment surely for John Pendlebury, who perhaps thought his side were going to go through this match with a clean sheet. I think Russell Smith called for the video ref again. I think there might have been a question over the way the ball was grounded. Gloucester's already lining up the shot at goal. Try being given to the Sheffield Eagles. About 77 minutes, and the Eagles have managed to get on the sheet with Fetu Taiwa. First try of the evening for the Eagles, too much, a little too late. Well, it's not Taiwa, it's Rob Doyle. I do apologise. No mistake, you know the kicker is Mark Aston. And the Eagles have got little consolation for their efforts tonight. They showed up well in defence in the first half, created one or two chances, couldn't make anything of them. It looked for all the world as if they wouldn't score for most of the second half. But Doyle has managed to save the embarrassment of a no score. But here come the Eagles again with Senior. And surely the Eagles will not be sensing an upset at this stage of the game. 28 points to 6. They need 4 converted to tries. But the short kick-off, panic play now from the Eagles. Halifax, all they need to do is defend it as they have done for most of this game. The line only broken with that try from Doyle. Dale Lawton going towards the line. Stopped by the Halifax defence. But the knock-on being given. And it'll go against the Sheffield Eagles. So a little bit of breathing space for Halifax. And they've had problems with handling of the Eagles. Halifax have had their problems, but at 28 points to 6. They pale a little bit into insignificance as Mercer drives it away for the Halifax Blue Sox into the last 5 minutes or so. Jamie Bloom tempting the Eagles defence into a tackle. They were hanging off him. Savatabua, it was that moved in with Darren Short. Eventually Clark Trying to spin round, turn around a little too quickly for the pass to go though. Rowley using Senior as the foil, up again. And then tackled at the second attempt by Gareth Stevens. Carl Harrison, obviously just a minor knock to the arm earlier on. Back up and into play, Clinch gets the kick away. Sovertabo forced to pick it up behind his own line. And the only people in front of him are blue and white shirted Halifax players who followed the kick from Clinch. Taiwa almost away from Powell on that far side. Mercer there as well, helping Powell with a tackle. Powell in again on Sodjet, who really didn't look as though he was interested in wanting to run the ball out. Dale Lawton's taken backwards by 3 Halifax defenders. Russell Smith seeing fit to give another penalty. Well, 10 points to 8 the penalty, or 10 points to 7 the penalties in the Eagles' favour. The ball kicked back into the Blue Sox half of the field. Well, time ticking down now. Halifax on the way to 2 more Super League points. Long journey down the M1, but worth it for the Blue Sox and John Pendlebury. And they'll move 2 points closer to the Leeds Rhinos at the end of this game. And of course, they've played Wigan and Leeds away. Next game for the Blue Sox, Wigan at home, that one to be on Sky as well. And Halifax, the way they're going, they were ignored a little bit at the start of the season by Sky, but they've got virtually saturation coverage in the last couple of weeks, making more appearances on the television than Coronation Street and EastEnders. But the Eagles not giving up. And another try for them moves them into double figures. Pulled across the front of the goal. So Willie Morganson put a little bit of respectability into the Eagles' score, moving them into double figures. But a bit flattering for the Eagles, this scoreline, because the game being totally dominated by Halifax, who didn't need the 3 or 4 opportunities in which they went close in the first half. Bloom managed to get up and knock it back after the Eagles tried the short kick-off again. And Moana wrapped up by Malloy at first, and then Lawton at the second. And Mercer goes from acting half, trying to make the yards. Senior all over him, giving him a bit of a facial. Harrison into short, over halfway. I think 1 or 2 Eagles players still pushing the luck a little bit with referee Russell Smith. Rowley to Bloom, who manages to keep hold of it somehow, and is eventually dragged down by Jeff Doyle, one of the Eagles' try scorers this evening. Clinch, chip through, ball goes into touch. Well, 80 minutes up, almost on the clock. John Pendlebury celebrates his new 2-year deal with another 2 league points. And a bit of a rest now to get everybody fit for the visit of league leaders Wigan a week on Friday to the new shape. Halifax well worthy of the 2 league points here. Dominating the first half, and the Eagles not really coming into it until the last 10 minutes. Scored 10 points, Halifax only managing to add 12 points to the first half, 16. But important for Halifax, a try just before and just after half time really sealed the win for them. Eagles playing catch-up football. 28 points down, it was never to be. John Pendlebury obviously wary of the capability of the Eagles in the comeback stakes in the past, but not so on this occasion. But Mercer loses the ball. From Mercer gives Eagles perhaps one last chance. Aston from the back of the scrum. Solotabua eventually comes and accepts the invitation of the pass. Malloy, good tackle from Martin Hall. Malloy loses possession. Carl Harrison picks it up for Halifax, just inside the Eagles half. Mercer driving forward, so perhaps one last shout for Halifax before the final hooter. Moana out to Tuilangi, yet to score tonight. Unusual not to see Tuilangi scoring. Turn back inside to Moana, and Clark eventually taking the tackle. And a bit of a facial from Dale Lawton. Mercer, nobody's one man to beat. Mercer needs support, put off his step, but it doesn't matter to Mercer. He's managed to stop on his feet. Gary Mercer in for the try. It seals it for Halifax in injury time. And Gary Mercer looked as though he'd been knocked off his stride, but managed to keep his feet and force his way over 10 metres out to the right hand side of the post. We'll have to come 150 mile down the M1 for this one. But kept the Eagles at bay, in command all through this game. Slight flourish from the Eagles, briefly bringing them 10 points, but the last word to Halifax with that try from Mercer well into injury time. And Bloom to add it on another 2 points with his most difficult kick so far. Jamie Bloom has not found the target this time, it drops short. There goes a hooter. Halifax victorious with another 2 points. Well, Halifax players will be disappearing to various parts of the country, some stopping in Northampton. Some will join the respective England and Wales international camps for the match at Widnes on Sunday. But for the moment, savouring another 2 Super League points, in control over the Eagles from the word go really. 16 points to nil at half time. Added to that 16 second half points with tries from Clark, Clinch, a late one from Mercer. Bloom came on to kick a penalty and a conversion. Sheffield had a little flourish which brought tries for Morganson and Doyle. One conversion for Aston. It looked at one point as though the match was in danger of spilling over, but referee Russell Smith, to his credit, managed to control it like a true professional that he is. But Halifax totally in control. Sheffield left frustrated from the first defeat in 5 games at the Sixfields Sports and Leisure Complex in Northampton. Halifax Blue Sox 32, Sheffield Eagles 10.